Hello, 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 everyone. It's Dr. Tamara Beckford, and I'm here to welcome you inside the EntreMD Business School. And this is our wonderful podcast. And we have an extremely important guest today. She's one of my classmates, and I cannot wait for you to hear all the gems that she's going to deliver for you today. So this is Dr. Michelle. I'm going to have her introduce herself. She's going to let you know all about her business, and where she's located. Take it away, Dr. Michelle.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Dr. Beckford. It's really, really great to be here. So I am Michelle Quirk. I am a pediatrician and a running coach, and I'm the founder of Mindful Marathon, where I help make running easy and fun for busy professionals. And I am physically located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but I coach all over the place.
I love it. Yes. And the really fantastic thing about being a part of the school is that I get to see everyone's journey. And Dr. Michelle has been coaching people for 5K, 10K, and marathons. And these are people who are like, oh, I don't have never run. The farthest I've gotten was going to the mailbox to get my mail. And then now they're running like 5Ks and even some are running marathons. So we really, really love what you're doing. Now, with this business, some people are just like, whoa, coaching? Well, coaching running? Wow. So they probably never thought that that was possible, but you've made and you show that this is possible. So now within their mind, they're thinking like, well, what are some of the things that people can get from this? So what are some of the tangible wins? Let them know what are some of those tangible wins that you've had within your business, because people are just didn't even realize that they can do this
Yeah,
within
well,
those last 12 months. Go ahead.
I didn't realize that I could coach either. So this all came to be about 5 years ago, and it was, another friend and physician coach who really got me onto coaching in the first place because I really hadn't thought of it. And here I was writing, training plans for my mom, my husband, my friends, and I was
Mhm.
already doing it. But I just hadn't thought like this could be a viable business. So entered the EntreMD Business School. So I've been in the school for a while, since you've
Mhm.
been there, Dr. Beckford.
Yes, yes, we consider
Yeah.
ourselves some of the OGs.
Yes, the OGs. And so, yeah, I think, at the beginning when I started, I coached a lot of beginner runners or people who were like me, who, they were never runners. They weren't running track or cross country in school or college or anything like that. And they took up running later in life.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, a lot of the beginner wins really, for me, the tangible wins are that these runners make running a consistent part of their lives. So people
Hmm.
that I worked with in 2019 and 2020 and started running, they're still running. And now they're running longer distances. They're running half marathons and full marathons. And yeah, they've changed their lives, and that to see that over the last 5 years has been really a gift. And when I started, I never thought I would have so many people who wanted to run the longer distance. That was always my hope. But I
Hmm.
was really starting with people running short distances, and then they got hooked, and now here we are.
Wow. Wow. So, people are starting 5Ks and then they've moved on to 10 half marathons and
Mhm.
marathons. Now, when
Yes.
you look at that, do you think it parallels how your business is itself, in that when you started,
Yeah.
your business, it was smaller, but then like now you've been able to increase in your business? Would you say that's a parallel that's going on?
Definitely, definitely. And I think the business journey is much like the marathon journey, for sure. And I think, it speaks to the consistency of the efforts that you put in. But
Mhm.
when I started coaching, I was doing mostly one-on-one coaching, and I still do that with a lot of my clients, but I've tried some group programs. I've had beginner group programs, with a Ready, Set, Run program. And then I've also had some half marathon group programs because that's what naturally happened as we went through. There were more and more people who wanted to do longer distances. So I'm hopeful that someday I'll be able to do a marathon group too, but
Wow.
we're not quite there yet. But of course, it parallels the growth of the business and being able to go from one-on-one coaching to scale it a little bit and do
Mhm.
group coaching and retreats and some other different things along the way.
I love it. Oh my gosh. It's just like, wow, so amazing. So many things that can happen. So we've talked about some of those tangible wins. Let's now talk about some of the intangible wins that you've had within your business within the last 12 months. Let's let them hear
Mm.
it.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so many intangible wins, I think.
Mhm,
Number one, last year was an interesting year for me. So 2023
mhm.
had some family health concerns going on and really had to take a little bit of a step. I don't want to say a step back, but just
Slow
moving
down.
at a slowdown and the
Mhm.
pace of grace to be
Yes.
able to manage all of these things that were happening. And, I started the year off having lots of different goals and I had to kind of change course a little bit and adjust. But I
Mhm.
think, over the last 12 months, last year still ended up being the highest revenue year in Mindful Marathon,
Wow.
even with the slowdown. And so the intangible wins, let me try to
Mhm,
pick three. I'll try to pick three. One,
mhm.
I think, is that some creativity came back because I was
Mm,
able to create space for
mhm.
myself. Um, Number two, and along with that, is setting boundaries. I was able to set good boundaries with family, personal life,
Mhm.
my job as an employed pediatrician. Like the boundary setting has been amazingly helpful to be able to help grow the business. And I think that was a reason why the creativity came back. Um,
Oh.
yeah, yeah. And maybe third intangible win. I think it's actually helped my own running. How about that?
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's helped my own running because I've created more time for myself.
Oh wow. And I as I listened to those intangible wins where you were able to be more creative, you set more boundaries, and then created more time for running, which when you go running, you get more creative because your ideas come in, and then you are able to set the boundaries,
Yeah.
allowed more time for running. So wow, we saw that whole cycle, which allowed you to be able to get through a time that was a little bit difficult dealing with family related things, but still bringing in the most revenue.
Yeah.
So it's still that, as we are saying, paralleling the 5K, the 10K, the half marathon, and the marathon. It's still paralleling all of that within your journey here in business. Love it. Now, some of the things that happens in business that we have some ups and then we have some valleys or what we call them in EBS. We don't really talk about them as, oh my gosh, it was like doomsday. We look at them as lessons learned. So what are some of the biggest lessons that you'd say you learned within your business within the last 12 months?
Last 12 months. I
Hmm.
think probably the biggest one is we have the 80/20 rule, right?
Hmm.
And we talk about the 80/20 rule all throughout all aspects of life. And actually, I talk about it with my runners all the time. So from
Hmm.
the running aspect, that means that we run most of our runs, so 80% or more of our runs at easy or conversational pace, so that
Mm.
we can be able to really focus that 20% on the long run and the speed work and all of that stuff that helps us improve in running. It's the
Hmm.
same in business. And for a
Mm.
long time, I don't think I fully understood the concept to focus on the 20%. And I was not that I was ignoring it, but I was ignoring it without knowing. And in
Right.
the last 12 months, I feel like I really have been able to tap into what is the 20% for my business. And I've
Hmm.
created a system around that. So, for example, when I know that I have one-on-one athletes who have a certain goal race on the calendar, like a half marathon, I know that they're going to take some time off after that race, which I recommend, right? I don't want everybody to keep running forever
Absolutely.
on and on. That can lead to injuries and other things. So I know that they're going to have a time off, even if they want to continue coaching. So I know that if I want to have another one-on-one client to step into their place when coaching spots will open up, I know now that I have to think about that a few months ahead of time. And before that, I never really thought about these things. So focusing on the 20% has been
Mhm.
huge in the last year.
Oh, I love it. And it's being intentional with the decisions that you're making and so that you're keeping things fluid and in motion. And interestingly, being on this side, watching you, I always thought, and I always admired, I should say, that you're able to really focus in on that 20%. Ever since you've been in the business school, I kind of felt like you had this gift. It was like, Michelle has this gift. She can focus on the 20%. Like you're able to zone in. But I guess what I really am seeing is how, as you have grown as an entrepreneur, your zone of being able to focus has improved even more. So you're still doing it. You're just doing it now at a higher level. So I'm still admiring you.
Thank you. Thank you. But yes, I really felt like it was a bit haphazard and a bit,
Mhm.
I just didn't have any system around it before. And really the last year, I can see the difference and it doesn't feel so haphazard
I love
anymore,
it.
which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing. Absolutely. So now, with all that you have learned and the systems that you've now put in place, how would you say that the business school has helped you within these last 12 years to achieve some of your goals?
Oh goodness. So many things. I think for one, the community is extremely inspiring and you can learn a lot. Even if you never attend one of the calls, if you just hang
Mhm.
out in the Facebook group, you can learn a ton. But the community is extremely inspiring and motivating. And
Mhm.
I learned so much from people who are in other industries. So maybe not from the coaches, but people who are
Mhm.
in private practice and who are in industry. And there's so many amazing physicians in the group, and there's always something, a pearl to learn from everyone, even if they're not doing exactly what you're doing. And things that
Mhm.
you might not think would have to do with your business, they do. And so I think the community is the best part for me. And the other is a little bit of accountability. I need that to
Mhm.
continue to go forward. And so there are so many opportunities for accountability in the group, whether it's the live call, the monthly challenge, the book of the month. There are so many things, the CEO power hours.
Mhm.
There are so many touch points that even if you do, again, if you do 20%, if you do one
Mhm.
out of five of the things, it will still move the business forward. And it helps with consistency. So I think, yeah,
Absolutely.
community number one and having accountability number two.
Oh, I love it. I love it. The thing too that I also admire about being part of the school is the opportunity to meet, network, and then connect and collaborate. And that's something that you've been able to do, right? So you've been
Yep.
able to even collaborate with some of your classmates. Do you want to give us a quick 2-minute spiel of what that was? What did it look like? And what did you
Yeah.
even gain from that experience?
Yeah, I think so in addition to guesting on each other's podcasts and YouTube channels
Mhm.
and Instagram lives and all of these different platforms, um, the probably the gem of 2023 and early 2024 was co-hosting a movement and meditation retreat with Dr. Rashmi Shram, who is also
Mhm.
in the school.
Mhm.
And that started over a conversation probably back at our first retreat in 2021. And it was just do you think we could do something together sometime, And we talked about it and then the idea was born walking on a beach together. Like, I think these two things go together. I think we could pull this off. So we had a retreat in the fall of 2023, and we had a second one in February of this year, 2024. And we're adventuring out into having a solo retreat. Each of us are trying one this fall. So stay tuned for that. But yes, it was an amazing collaboration born out of a friendship that started in the school.
I love it. And then the other thing that Dr. Michelle has not mentioned is that both retreats were sold out. So it's not so. So this is a way that, collaborating and branching out and just really expanding all that you have, the talents that you have, the talents that your colleagues have, merging them, enhancing it. It's all part of what happens here within the school. So now someone is listening to this, Dr. Michelle. and they're trying to decide if it's something that they should do. Should I be a part of the business school? Shouldn't I? Should I apply? Shouldn't I? Is it really that good, or are they just talking the talk? What would you say to that person?
I would say yes, you should apply. And I have been around since 2020 in the
Hmm.
group, and I've stuck around for a reason. And I have many friends and great colleagues and collaborators within this group. The other thing I will say is that I'm definitely an introvert,
Hmm.
and it was hard for me to take this step to go into the school. Like I really thought about it for a long time. So I think the lesson here is that the sooner the better. Like if you're on the fence, just hedge to the yes, and
Hmm.
it will sort itself out. It'll all be fine. You
It'll
don't have
all
to,
be fine.
it'll all be fine. You don't have to have all the answers now. Like there are
Mhm.
people in many different stages of business. When I started, I was only about a year into this coaching business, and I felt like I had no idea what I was doing. So
Mhm.
it'll be all right.
It will be all right. And there she is now. She's coached on many different avenues, many different platforms, collaborated, doing retreats, and now is also hosting her own retreat that she's going to be having at the in the fall of this year of this recording. So I don't know. Any last words for anyone, Dr. Michelle? Because I think you said just if you're hedging, just hedge to the yes. But any
Yeah.
last words?
Yeah, I'll leave you with one of my favorite running mantras, which is a great mantra for life and business, which is run the mile you're in.
Love it. Run the mile you're in. With that, I am going to drop this mic because Dr. Michelle just did that. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Michelle Quirk, who is the CEO of Mindful Marathon. And she is here in the business school. If you come and join, you will be able to connect, collaborate, and be able to do all the things. And join us here. Like you said, if you're hedging, hedge to the yes. Thank you so much for listening to this wonderful episode of Inside the EntreMD Business School. I'm Dr. Tamara Beckford, and I will catch you on the inside.